Defiance Marine is the one-stop shop for the Pacific Northwest angler. Defiance Marine carries all the gear you'll need, from auxiliary kicker motors to fishing tackle, bait, and more. Defiance Marine is a Honda Premier dealership and one of the largest on the West Coast. Defiance Marine guarantees the best price on a new motor and the best service on a repower for your current boat. Defiance Marine has certified technicians, some of the best in the industry at evaluating your boat issues and any problems. Defiance Marine has boat financing experts on staff to help you get the best term and rates on your new boat purchase. If you need financing for a new boat, call or stop by and see them today. Defiance Marine is your one and only stop to help you get out on the water.
Cutbacks in funding and fewer law enforcement resources are affecting our businesses and communities. If your business is feeling the effects, Phoenix Protective may be the solution you are looking for. They offer security solutions customized to meet your needs. From remote video monitoring in their 24-hour control center to a proactive, experienced security professional on site, Phoenix Protective has over 20 years experience in ensuring the safety of their customers. Team members are highly trained and proactive, giving them the ability to adjust to the changing needs of their customers. Customers choose to work with Phoenix Protective because they provide the next level in security support to industries such as schools, hospitals, transit, and utilities. For a security assessment to see how Phoenix Protective can help you and your business, visit their website at www.phoenixprotectivecorps.com and select Contact.
If you're looking for the best fishing rods in the world, you really do need to take a look at the Edge rods. I designed and built new machinery, and I think this new machinery has enabled us to build blanks like no other company can build without this equipment. There is no other rods in the world that are as good as these rods. You owe it to yourself to take a good look at them.
We've got a ballistic solution app on my...
Tuna grounds are on the ocean, Tommy.
We're going to do that. Don't go anywhere.
We've got all the great fish that make great fish and chips.
Hey, good evening and welcome to Fish on Northwest. Wayne England coming to you live from the Fish on Northwest studio located here in Olympia, Washington, on the shores of Summit Lake. And yes, flying solo. You'll notice the seat to my immediate right is vacant. Tommy is, I guess we'll say, on assignment. I think he's off screwing around, but whatever. We got a great show lined up tonight. Got a couple in-studio guests I'll introduce you to here shortly. But before we get there, yeah, lots going on, lots of content to cover, lots of very good conversations coming to you live this evening on the show. And I want to welcome everybody. If it's your first time joining us, please feel free. Jump around on our social media platforms. Go to our YouTube channel, hit subscribe, follow us there. Give us a like and a follow on our Facebook page. And by all means, please take some time. Go to www.fishhuntnw.com. Check out our webpage with blogs and updates. Lots of great recipes and things going on there. And of course, our online, our online store, where you can buy all our merchandise and find all the items that you need to have in your closet from our store. Not to mention, when you go to the website, click on the FHN20. It's the Edge Rods special coupon there. It gives you immediate access to the Edge Rods webpage. You're going to get 20% off all Edge Rods all the time via Fish Hunt Northwest, teamed up with Edge Rods. So 20% off all fishing rods all the time. Simply go to our webpage, click on the coupon, and save yourself some money for the very best fishing rods on the planet. Once again, I want to welcome everybody to the show. Go ahead and text in your information here on the text availability via Facebook or YouTube. I'll try to get to as many of those as I can. Got some great guests in studio tonight. Going to be talking a lot of fishing gear and quality fishing gear with the team from Brad's. Lots of good content to discuss with those boys, and I'm sure you'll have questions. So please feel free to text those in, and I'll do my best to answer those as we work our way through tonight's show. Before we get there, hey, got a few things noteworthy to cover, bring to you guys, and get you informed. So I did take some time, sat in on the live Zoom stream meeting, the final installment of the Grays Harbor North of Falcon process. Wanted to see where that was going to land. You know, we've been talking the last few weeks that they had received permission from the commission to exceed the 5% impact on the coho numbers, and I wanted to see how favorable that was going to be, and if they would in fact exercise upwards of that 18% impact that some of the models had indicated. And sure enough, we have some pretty lucrative fisheries that they have taken to final approval. Once it gets final approval from a review committee and then ultimately the Director Siswin, we can pretty much count on those being implemented. Those seasons look pretty nice. You know, this Grays Harbor region, we're talking like the hump tulips in that September fishery, a 2-fish retention, both hatchery and wild Chinook. Do we need to keep 2 Chinook? Well, you know, that's a conversation we have often, is if it's really needed to be bonking 2 Chinook on today's fisheries. But I always say, hey, if the numbers on any given season are there to support the fishery on a conservation-minded season-setting process, and we're going to meet escapement, then by all means, we should be able to harvest those fish, especially if there's an abundance of hatchery fish, then why not? So the hump tulips for the month of September, 2-fish retention, got to release wild coho. That's fantastic. Moving into October, you still get a 1 Chinook retention, still got to release the wild coho. Move over here to the tributaries and the Chehalis. Again, we finally are back at a 2-fish limit for the month of October, able to keep either wild or hatchery coho. That's fantastic. It spreads the pressure out tremendously amongst these tributaries, in that we're not all vying for same water and just trying to catch our one token fish. So we have some great opportunity in that regard. That is going to sustain, and you know, I sit and listen to a lot of the input from folks that weigh in on these meetings, and there were a few folks that had concern with us going to a 2-fish limit or opportunity in the Grays Harbor region and in those tributaries, because the entire system is modeled as an aggregate. They don't separate out each tributary in and of itself and get the finite numbers to say, once it hits this tributary, it's a 1-fish retention or hatchery fish only. It's an overall aggregate of the entire basin. So I get it where there may be cause for concern in some of those tributaries if they don't have hard numbers, but here's the fact. We have 150,000 coho coming back to this Grays Harbor region, and in doing so, even with the seasons that they've set forth in the numbers that go in the bag, so to speak, for October, November, December, they're still anticipating 70,000 coho hitting the gravel collectively amongst all the tributaries, okay? That is double of the escapement need for the entire basin. Now, if you take that 70,000 fish, and let's just do simple math, all right? I know when it comes to bucks and hens hitting the gravel, it's not a 50-50 split, but for this particular model, for Dwayne's model, because I'm a simple man with simple math, it is a 50-50 split. 35,000 hens hitting the gravel. Research would show you that an adult female coho can lay anywhere from 1,500 to 7,000 eggs. So we're going to land soft at 4,000, okay? 4,000 times 35,000 fish, that is 140 million eggs. 140 million coho eggs hitting the gravel in the Grays Harbor Basin. There's potential for that. If, you know, everything comes into play, and I don't want to keep using the word if, but it's a high probability we're going to be successful in exceeding those high numbers, and we're going to have an abundance of fish up in those upper estuaries hitting the gravel. Let's hope we can steer clear of any major floods like we experienced this last season. And all indications are we're going to have a whole bunch of eggs getting into the gravel. So I'm not too concerned about a 2-fish limit in the early months on some of these fisheries. You know, over at Willapa, again, we get a 2-fish retention opportunity for pretty much the entire region over there. Gotta be selective in certain areas. Some of your bag limits, you can only retain 1 wild coho, but Again, like the Willapa Bay fishery, 2-rod endorsement, and you can keep 2 hatchery or marked Chinook in your bag limit, indoor 1 wild coho. This is fishing that we haven't seen in a very long time. So throughout that Willapa greater area, you know, on the nacelle, the coho fishery is going to be fantastic. They've been receiving really good numbers of cohos the last several years, and this year is no exception. Going to get a 2-fish limit there, 1 of which can be wild. So really looking forward to some of these fisheries that are going to unfold here this fall, starting in September. You should as well. I anticipate it being pretty busy, but hey, if you have opportunity to get out there during midweek, you're gonna see some fantastic fishing. As long as we don't get a ton of rain and constantly are fighting rivers blown out, it's gonna be something to look forward to. So pretty happy with the way they've modeled it. I want to thank all the folks there in the Region 6 office that did so much work in putting these numbers together. I think we're gonna have a phenomenal season, and we can thank those folks for all their hard work. All right, moving on. Hunters, hopefully you've been paying attention. Time to submit for your applications for your special hunt permits, okay? That actually opened Tuesday, April 19th, goes through May 19th. This is the time of year where you drill down on your research, start looking at your game units that you want to maybe partake in, take a look at historical data, see how many types of animals have come out of any particular game unit. Also look at the participation numbers to let you know how much pressure any of those units may get. But it is time to do your research and get those applications submitted. The announcements came out. If you, like Tommy and I, put in for multi-season deer and elk, a lot of you are pretty happy. Me this year, not so much. Now I have 6 points for my multi-season elk. Wah, wah. And last year I did get my multi-season deer, but I shot my deer in the first week of modern rifle. So, you know, it's a roll of the dice. Some years it's very beneficial to you to get your multi-season. Other years, maybe you pay for it and you don't even use it. Other years you don't get it, wish you would have had it. So always put in your application, $6.60, $7.10 with the fees and the tax, whatever. And if you don't get drawn, you just earn those points, and it's well worth your time. It also helps educate you a little bit further down the road on how this whole process works, and allows you to start opening up to additional hunts throughout the year. Extra deer, you know, antlerless deer, second buck, those types of things. Always worth putting in for, because that year you do score that second deer. And that year that you do go out and actually bag 2 deer legally because you've submitted their permits and you get it, that's just phenomenal opportunity. You know, who doesn't want to put a couple deer in your freezer, one from the west side, one from the east side? What a great opportunity. So that is open until May 19th. Get your information together and submit where it is you would like to go hunt. Hey, a couple days away from opening day, Washington State Lowland Lake trout season is upon us. This Saturday, it's always the 4th Saturday in April. This year it's April 23rd. All the lowland lakes are opening. Going to be a great opportunity. First of all, if you haven't looked at the weather forecast, you should, because it looks pretty darn nice considering what we've been subjected to this last entire month of April. When I still have water pumping out of the ground down there at the base of my yard into the lake, it's because it's been that soggy and everything's still running out of the hill. And we got a ton of water and the lake is up. So it's nice looking into this weekend, both Saturday and Sunday. We're low to mid 60s depending where you live. No rain in the forecast. What a great opportunity to get the kids out. Millions upon millions of trout have been stocked in the lakes, both eastern and western Washington. These lakes are going to open. 250 to 300,000 people will partake in this weekend's opener on the 23rd. It's just a great day to get the kids out, get them introduced to fishing, and enjoy the day. Also want to remind everybody that, hey, it's officially now the kickoff of the season-long WDFW Trout Derby, which starts the opening day of trout season and carries all the way through the closure of these lowland lakes, which is always October 31st. There's a great opportunity to go catch some fish with tags in them and win some prizes. And it's pretty simple. I mean, we have 100 plus stocked lakes statewide with tagged trout. We have over 800 prizes, $37,000 worth of prizes to go out there and get. More than 70 participating businesses. Fish Hunt Northwest is one of those contributing businesses. We actually have 6 tagged fish being placed here, already have been actually, into Summit Lake, okay? We're gonna have 6 tagged fish out here. Each tagged fish wins you a certain amount of merchandise from our Fish Hunt Northwest online store, but all you have to do to figure out what you've caught, which business it is. There's a tag on that fish. You get on WDFW, you go to the 2022 Statewide Fishing Derby. It should pull up a page that's going to ask you for information. You can put your tag number in, the lake of which you caught the fish from, and your personal information. WDFW will send you an email. It's going to tell you the business and the address, location, phone number of how to get a hold of those folks to go claim your prize. Pretty easy here at Summit Lake. You catch a fish, you let us know. You can come right here to the studio. We're going to prize you up. Hoodies, hats, drink glasses, decals, all kinds of great swag from our store right here on our property at the studio. Be great to see a handful of folks catch those tagged fish out of Summit Lake and come by the studio here and meet us, and we'll be happy to give you some free swag and help support us as we help support the cause. So great opportunity for people to get out and catch fish. Tagged fish are a bonus, and you're going to walk away with some great prizes. Additionally, one more note out here in the Summit Lake community, if you're going to come out this way and fish on Saturday, they do a fantastic job at the community center with the annual Fisherman's Breakfast. They're bringing it back finally after 2 years with COVID. The breakfast is back on. We'll be here, folks in the community volunteering their time, cooking a fantastic breakfast. Donation is asked for. Kids under 12, I believe, eat for free, but they do a fantastic job. Pancakes, sausage, eggs, hash brown, the whole deal, right? Coffee, juice. Great time to come and sit and visit with folks in the community, have a breakfast either before you go fishing or afterwards. Starts at 5 a.m. Doors close, I believe they're done, wrapping it up about 11. So you got 6 hours to get your breakfast and get some fishing on out here at Summit Lake. So hope to see you there. We'll be over there at the breakfast for a while, and then I'm going to probably come out here and fish off my dock for a better part of the afternoon. Before we get out of here, I want to remind folks, hey, Sportco's spring anniversary kicking off today. This morning started at 9 o'clock. Excuse me, April 21st. It runs all the way through May 5th. It's their annual spring sale. Tons of savings with all the merchandise and gear and everything they have on sale. You can't go wrong, not to mention Jen, the hot dog lady. She's there once again. If you don't eat hot dogs, well, you should twice a year. And that's when she shows up at the Sportco mega sales down there in Fife. Show up, definitely save some money. Get one of those fancy hot dogs, and you will not be disappointed, to say the least. All right, running down the show, a number of things to get to this evening. I want to introduce you guys, if you haven't met them before, in-studio guests from the Brad's Killer Fishing Gear team, owner Scott Kaul and the district sales manager Chris Turvey. We got a lot of gear to talk about and educate you on why you should be using Brad's gear, second to none in some regards in the industry. Then I'm going to be back in the bait lab. We got part 2 in preparation for the statewide trout opener this Saturday. It's all about the gear, trolling, spinners and plugs. Part 1 was last week, all about the bait. This week it's all about the troll fisheries, spinners and plugs. Then we'll be back in Studio with Scott and Chris. We're going to discuss the release of the Brad's new 360 release flasher. This thing is pretty awesome. And specifically the edge rods that have been designed to go along with that 360 flasher. We're going to get a little geeky in science, but it's for your educational benefit because it's really going to get you to understand why a specific rod is designed to maximize the ability of a 360-degree flasher. And this new Breakaway flasher is absolutely fantastic, so make sure you stick around for that. Then we'll close out the show with the boys here in studio. Going to drill down a little bit on Chris Turvey and his other business that he runs, Columbia River Guide Service. The man is extremely busy between Brad's and guiding and family and all those things combined. So lots of great fishing discussion this evening. Lots of gear to talk about with the boys from Brad's, and we're going to delve into that Bay Lab segment for you as well. Any questions, comments, concerns? Go ahead, hit us up. Nice to see people blowing up my online texting here. Try to answer as many of those episodes as I can. Glad you're all joining us. Great content to come. Don't go anywhere. Jump out for a quick break. We come back. The boys from Brad's right here in studio with me, right here, Fish on Northwest.
Sportco, an outdoor emporium, is the largest local outfitter in the Northwest since 1975, providing thousands of people affordable outdoor gear. This summer, make your next outdoor adventure more affordable by shopping at our warehouse-style pricing. We are a local Scotty dealer, offering sales, service, and repair. Located in Fife and Seattle, come visit us today. The outdoors await you.
For more than 90 years, you've entrusted one brand to guide you toward living the lifestyle you've always dreamed of. Now you can entrust affiliated Better Homes and Gardens real estate professionals to interpret your needs and help you find the home in which to live your dream. Through every stage of your home buying or selling process, and through every stage of your life, there's Better Homes and Gardens real estate. Expect better.
Sergeant Daniel Moulter began his tour of duty on October 21st, 1996, and ended his tour on June 27th, 2020. On the authority of Constable Carlos B. Lopez of the Travis County Constable's Office, Precinct 5, badge number 504 is officially retired, and Sergeant Dale Moulter is 1042. Godspeed, Sergeant Moulter.
Honoring fallen law officers of 2021. The 2022 End of Watch Ride begins in May from Spokane, Washington. The ride across the country to honor the men and women of law enforcement who paid the ultimate sacrifice in their service to our communities will cover more than 23,000 miles. We ride to ensure that no fallen officer or their family is ever forgotten. EOW relies on sponsors and donations to cover this cost. Please consider donating to help support the families and departments of the fallen officers. You can donate by visiting our website at www.endofwatchride.com/donate. Please support the Blue.
Hi, this is Joe and Megan from Archery World. We have 4 store locations. We are at the Lacey location right now. I just want to highlight some of our camping gear. We have Mystery Ranch packs. We also have trekking poles. We have crispy boots. We have 6 Hour optics. We carry Havalon knives. We carry Garmin products as well. So it's not just archery. We want to try to make this one-stop shopping for you guys. And so if you need it and it puts you in the outdoors, we probably have it. So come down and see us.
Hey, welcome back, Fish Hunt Northwest. Wayne England somewhat flying solo, hosting duty-wise, but not solo now. I got a couple guests in studio. First time to the Fish Hunt Northwest studio. I want to welcome Scott Kaul, owner of Brad's. How you doing, man?
Appreciate it.
Nice to see you again.
Thank you very much for having us.
Absolutely. Thanks for making the drive up. And Chris Turvey, District Sales Manager at Brad's and Columbia River Guide Service. How you doing, man?
Doing really good.
Yeah?
Yep. Getting ready for a busy year. Spring snook are entering the Columbia, and they're getting over Bonneville. And so our above Bonneville tributary fisheries are starting to kick off. And, yeah, went fishing this morning for a little bit. Didn't get one, but...
That's springer fishing.
That's springer fishing.
That's springer fishing.
What we're doing Saturday, right? You know. We're going to be on this dock right here, catching that money fish out of your lake right here.
Right, yeah. Well,
what time does the dock open here, by the way?
The dock opens probably at daylight. I might be over there eating breakfast, so whoever shows up.
So if we line up like 4 a.m., we're good?
Walk on down there. Okay. I might even put gear down there. I got a clean table with running water, and we put the rods there and the gear, and people just show up and go fishing.
That's awesome. Got a beautiful place here.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we enjoy it.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. There's somebody said about waking up in the morning and it's not windy and the boat's tied to the dock, and I go, I just grab my coffee, go kokanee fishing. You know,
I can't imagine what that feels like.
Yeah, you guys have to come up. You know, we were talking Merwin and whatnot, right? Yes, but you guys have to make drive up here, jump in the boat, go kokanee fishing. Yeah. I think you'd enjoy that.
Love that.
Yeah, it's a good time. So we'll put some of this gear to work that we're going to talk about. So before we get into all of this or what's going on here, guys, let's catch folks up that may not be familiar with Brad's or the genesis of Brad's, Scott, and you know how you became one of the owners with Brad's. Let's talk a little bit about Brad's in the history of Brad's, because I'm well familiar with growing up watching Larry Schoenborn, right? And just the Fish in the West was synonymous with Saturday morning programming, and you just could not wait for the next episode, right? And but there's that family history and that whole deal. So talk a little bit about Brad and this whole company and what's going on.
Yeah. My part in this is minimal. It's Brad and it's Larry. You know, from where it started. Everybody that's been around the Northwest at one point has probably seen, you know, Fishing the West with Larry Schoenborn.
Yep.
But what many people probably didn't know is it was Brad Schoenborn just downstream or upstream from wherever they were, hooking the fish and handing them off.
Yeah.
And that's how that show was done at that time. And Brad got quite the reputation for being the master fisherman that he is, and was back then and still is today. So Larry, you know, also in addition to his show, had a number of stores.
Yep.
And Brad worked in the stores.
Right.
And got the feel for the retail side. Even opened up his own store for a bit, and then also worked at Bob's as a purchasing manager there at Bob's. So a lot of people, which is funny, still going to Bob's today will see Brad and think that he's Bob.
Hey, Bob, got a question
Bob,
for you.
Can I get, and Brad, you know,
probably just answered. He's like, yeah, what can I do for you, right?
Yeah. He's like a fixture.
It doesn't surprise me, right?
I mean, he's like a fixture.
He's like a fixture there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, he'll go back, you know, get stuff, and
Yeah.
What is it you're looking for? Doesn't matter if it's our product or not.
So, as Brad's evolved, was Brad engineering, designing most of the lures that catapulted that into where it was going?
Quite a few, if not physically doing it. You know, certainly having input on hey, this is what we should come out with. Brad, everybody has, you know, their strong suits.
Yeah.
And that's a strong suit of Brad's, of you know, coming up with the lures, the colors, the designs. In fact, even before Brad's was around, he came out with, I don't know if you know this, several of the custom colors that Quickfish had.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like over a dozen.
Huh.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
He's been involved with that his whole life. And, you know, growing up as Larry's son, how could you not?
Yeah.
So,
you're either going to be in or you're completely out, right?
Yeah.
So
And he's 100% in.
Yeah.
And to this day, he's, So a little earlier you mentioned that I'm owner of Brad's, like to say I'm co-owner. Brad is my partner,
Right.
and I'm very proud to have him as a partner.
Yeah.
He's the best partner I could ever have.
How's he doing?
He's doing well. He has his good days and his bad. I think most people know that Brad has Parkinson's. If they don't know, I'm not disclosing anything that he doesn't want people to know. He's actually, you know, wants to get the word out there about Parkinson's, about the disease itself, you know, about different areas to look out for. He had, I think, 3 different high-risk factors. He had, I think, a family history. He poured a lot of lead. And then there was a third one, which I don't remember what it was. But he had like 2 of the 3 or 3 of the 3. So his chances of getting Parkinson's were
up there.
Way up there.
Yeah.
He poured a lot of lead, but he is doing well. He has been out probably 4 or 5 times for springers.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think he's gotten a springer 3 times.
He's been bit every time.
Well, there you go. Bad in
He's been bit every time. And,
yeah.
So, and every time anybody that has seen Brad before, has been out fishing with him, just loves that smile because he's got the smile of a 15-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
As Chris
Still gets really excited about fish,
gosh.
right? I mean, he's never gotten tired of it. Like, everybody wants to harness that type of passion for the fishery, right? So, let's talk a little bit about a number of the types of lures, Chris, that you know Brad's is kicking out now. There's a lot of these that are so popular. I mean, there's hardly a boat out there that I see that doesn't have some complement or another of Brad's lures and gear on there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Brad's actually started with the sturgeon leaders.
Brad hand tying them.
And believe it or not, Brad to this day still hand ties a lot of our sturgeon leaders.
Does he really?
It helps him with his Parkinson.
Yeah. And
just his motor skills, and he loves doing it. He packages a lot of our beads and a lot of our terminal tackle. You know, 2001, Brad's came out with their Wiggler, and it was very similar to a Storm Wigglewort.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why they did that is because Storm got bought out by Rapala.
That's a great code.
Or Rapala. And they changed the mold. And so Rapala had a glue-in bill that worked great for bass, and that's initially how these plugs were designed for, was for bass.
Yeah.
But us Pacific Northwest anglers were using them for salmon and steelhead, and a glue-in bill was just not going to work.
Right.
And just wouldn't hold up. And so there was a demand to bring that style lure back, and that's where Brad came out with the Wiggler and actually made some fine adjustments and recess pull point, a smoother bill, a better mold.
Yeah.
They dive deeper. They wiggle better. You get more biters out of the package, and so there's kind of a misunderstanding that Brad's copied Storm Wigglewort. That wasn't the case at all. Brad's just filled a void that the Pacific Northwest needed, and so we have I think 208 different wigglers over the years. From there's Killerfish, which there again was similar to other plugs. But there's been some modifications over the years to the bill to make it dive better.
Right.
There again, you're going to get a lot more runners out of the package than any other banana plug. Not just my opinion, but we hear that from a lot of guys. And then 2000s came the super bait. And just short history of that. So that's the cut plug.
Yeah.
The original super bait is
this one here. Yep.
The banana.
Yep.
So it opens up.
Skinny.
Yep.
Yeah, the
or
skinny, yeah.
AKA skinny.
Yeah.
Opens up, put tuna fish in there, put a rubber band on the end of it. That was designed from way up the Columbia, Wenatchee area. They don't have access to good bait.
Right.
Herring and anchovies and whatnot. And so they need a lure that they control. They came out with that. They partnered up with Brad's, and there's the birth of the original skinny super bait. And since then, it's gone to the SCP, which is the cut plug. And then we had such success with that, we decided to make one smaller, and then came the MCP. And all these come in single rig packed and double unrigged.
Right.
And then, 4 or 5 years ago, we decided to come out with the kokanee.
Yeah. Extremely popular.
That.
I got a bunch of them in my arsenal, and they trout or kokanee, don't matter.
So one of the biggest...
And Chinook.
Exactly. And that's one of the mistakes we made marketing that. It's not just a kokanee lure.
Right.
Some of our biggest salmon every year come off that little...
Last 3 years have been on the...
Yeah, I have fished with guys in the upper Columbia stretches, Klickitat, Deschutes area, these behind 360s, lead dropper, and just crushing 25-pound Chinook on this little tiny lure. It's a mind blow that they go after something so small, but it flat out works. And you got so many different colors in all of these plugs. It's like, which ones do you pick? It's hard to decide sometimes.
It is, and it can be overwhelming. The biggest thing that, we just wanted a variety for everybody in every situation. Sometimes, it might be a chartreuse pattern, or it might be a pink pattern, or a chrome versus an opaque. So we just tried to give the market the biggest variety as possible.
Right.
I guess I did skip some, didn't I?
Well, these
wobblers.
Yeah. Which I have to assume these kind of were transitioned off of. For a Dodger, it came out of the development design of your wobblers.
So Brad's,
right?
We have three
the
or
original
four
design, but you look at the bend on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely. Yep.
So what you have there is a kokanee Dodger.
Right.
But before that came, I think, 4 different size wobblers for salmon.
Okay.
Before 360s, before downhill trolling was the thing, guys would go out there, before cell phones, they'd open up their tide book, and I don't know if you remember those. It was just a little tiny little thing, and the letters were so small, but and they were harder than heck to read until you realized it. But anyway, you'd have your tide book, and you'd go and anchor up, and anywhere from 27 to 50, 60 feet of water, and you'd have a 5x5 setup with a 8-ounce lead or the 16-ounce 5-foot dropper to a 5-foot leader to a wobbler, and that was like the go-to preferred method, and that really helped boost Brad's into other product lines, because that was booming in the 2000s for upriver fall Chinook that were passing through Cath-Lamet all the way to Bonneville.
And so couple questions. Any chance for the skinny minis to hit the market this year?
Chance, yes.
Chance, yes.
So you're saying there's a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance the skinny mini may hit the market. Okay. Mike Olson asked, do you still have to tune them out of the package? I'm not sure which one is probably.
Killer fish sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the time you don't, but sometimes you do.
Well, and it's got that eye on there that's definitely adjustable, right?
Yep.
So
super easy to just
tweaked a little bit.
And a lot of that too will depend on the wrap. If you wrap it, if your wrap's offset.
Correct.
Most of the time you don't, but it's super easy.
Yeah.
Wigglers and the mag wigglers and the wee wigglers and the little wigglers. Majority of those you don't have to mess with. The only time I've had to really mess with them is if I change hook configurations. It seems like it changes the balance of the plug. But there again, it's super simple. Grab the eyelet counterclockwise or opposite direction. It's darting off to.
Right. Pull it back to center.
Pull back to center.
And the true tail sign is just put it in the water and see how it runs, right? If you don't like it, make a little adjustment, right?
Yep.
So
if it's running right, then better.
Yep. Does water temperature affect the size of super bait that you're selecting?
You know, I get asked that question all the time. What's your favorite size super bait? And honestly, I hate to say this, there's not one.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes it's a skinny, original super bait.
Right.
Sometimes it's a kokanee cut plug. Sometimes it's one in between. And, you know, no rhyme or reason. It seems like each year is different. A lot of it, if I had to pick a size, it would be geared towards the style of fishing we're doing. So, for instance, if we're in a action-packed Drano fishery, for instance, you're going to have more luck with a KCP or an MCP versus you are an SCP or an original skinny, because it's smaller versus the bigger, and it's going to be less resistant on your flasher. So in a situation like that, the smaller ones are going to do better.
Sure.
Buoy 10 this last year, the original skinnies absolutely dominated, and it started there and it went all the way up the Columbia River.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's just hard to tell. It's hard to project, right? So, is it? Would you put more emphasis on size of plug or color?
The only pattern I've seen, and I stumbled across this, you know, I would go out there with some custom painted kokanee cut plugs that were just dynamite, just really cool patterns. Some of them were copied off old quick fish, you know, styles, but they look really fishy. And I'd go out there with, you know, 4 or 5 of these on my client's rods, and I'd have one original skinny out there, and original skinny would get bit. Either we'd land a fish or it'd get bit. And it'd go fish, 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 and then all of a sudden so I'd put another one on the other side of the boat. Both those original skinnies or SCPs were getting bit where those kokanee cut plugs weren't. And it was so lopsided. If I told you 9, 10 o'clock when the sun got up high that those KCPs that weren't getting bit are now going to go online, and these super hot lures that you couldn't keep them off at first light are now going to go dead.
Yeah.
You probably would have bet me $500 and you would have lost. I've seen that situation a lot.
Interesting.
That might be the better question. Instead of temperature, it's light.
It's probably more light. And I think first thing in the morning, those fish are sluggish, lethargic. They're a lot more scent is leaching off those bigger baits. Definitely bigger baits in the morning. Obviously not always. There's definitely no rules to fishing, but I would say bigger in the morning, smaller as the sun gets up, and then it goes right back into bigger as the sun goes down.
Yeah. Zach's asking any interest or thought discussions of making and marketing a mega, like something bigger.
Yeah.
Any push on that, you know?
There's no immediate push, but we actually have a bigger prototype.
Okay.
And there is some demand in some other fisheries, I'll say, that we're looking at.
And then it says, what is Turvey's go-to super bait? If you had to pick one, Chris, what's going to be out of the box?
I couldn't pick one. I couldn't.
Conditions change too much, right?
Changed too much. If I had to pick one, first thing in the morning.
I got it in my head. I'll see if
rotten banana. First thing in the morning.
Is that right?
Now, if I was going to go springers at Drano, KCP Topsy Turvey. Hands down.
KCP Topsy Turvey. All right. Good stuff. What do you think is running your guys' lion's share of the market here? Is it your salmon stuff? Is it your kokanee stuff? Was it kind of a equal balance, or what's flying off the shelves?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a mix because our salmon stuff, we even fish for kokanee. In fact, I think you do too.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Yep.
Because this is generally a salmon bait.
Yep.
But yet it works great as a kokanee attractant.
Yeah, crazy.
Because if you look at the underwater video and footage, they're attracted to that, but they're coming up and actually biting the corn or whatever little thing you have trailing behind it and getting the kick.
Yeah.
So,
yep. There's a lot of crossover here.
There's a lot of
kokanee or
crossover.
salmon, right? So it kind of makes sense in that realm. They're instinctively, they kind of act similar in some regards.
And we even took it the next step, and we took it to the saltwater this last year, and caught 11 different species?
Yeah, 14 or something.
Yeah. So it
took us a while to figure it out because you'd get bit and it'd be just clean cut gone.
Yeah.
So once we went to titanium leaders.
Toothy critters.
Yes. Yeah.
It was expensive learning experience.
Yeah, those dogfish. Dogfish are leaving.
Teeth.
Yeah, dogfish are leaving with your cup plug. They think it's a herring, so they're just whatever. Right? So.
If I had to say, I'd probably say is probably lean more towards salmon. However, we are trying to balance things out. We have a lot of lures for trout. We actually have plugs that are for walleye that a lot of guys here in the Northwest don't know about.
Interesting.
We do thin fin. Lipstick Juniors, and our whole bait diver line. Yeah. We got a standard, we have a junior, a standard, a mag, and then we go into mud dog, regular, and then a magnum mud dog. So we have a lot of different lures that I think a lot of people don't know. Also on top of that is, we have a huge selection of terminal tackle that is all USA made, and it's all packaged either in Woodland, Washington or Longview, Washington. Everything
Quite a
is
bit
100%.
of it by Brad himself.
Yep. Bead chains, snap swivels.
He loves the small pack
all
packaging.
that.
All your tackle stuff. All your
regular
stuff.
beads,
right?
Row beads, trout beads, from 3 millimeter all the way up to 14.
T-beads.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a whole other line of items you guys offer in the realm of terminal tackle for sure.
This past 2 years, it has just gone like this.
Yeah.
We've been able to get a lot of terminal tackle in, and people have been buying it, and it's just, it's USA made. It's a lot easier to get.
Yeah.
It's nice
this one here, guys cannot overlook this kokanee size for our resident coho up there in Area 10.
Yeah.
That thing is fantastic. Put behind an 8-inch Dodger and lights out. We fish those with our kokanee rods for good reason.
What were you guys putting in them?
Usually just tuna. I rub some fire gel on them. Doesn't matter. We have so many different scents available with that Potskie's fire gel, and it's just, even if you don't want to take the time to open them up, put stuff inside, put it on the underside of the belly, and that stuff stays there, and it puts off tremendous scent. And that's really, it's about getting the scent coming off the lure and something that's going to be durable. And those things are small, and if you want to take time to pack stuff in them, you can, and it works fantastic. And oftentimes, I don't care what the fishery is for me, I'm putting tuna inside them things.
Yeah, same here.
It's amazing, even for kokanee. I mean, it's no exposure to tuna whatsoever. But
I'm convinced the fishier your bait scent presentation smells, the fishier it smells to you, the better it's going to perform. And I've proven that time and time again. All the different recipes I put into my egg curing and stuff, the fishier I can make them smell, the higher resolve I have. And it's just, it doesn't surprise me at all whenever we put tuna on anything, how it gets results, right?
So speaking of which, can we share the Turvey cocktail for the tuna mix, or is that on the down low?
No.
Not on the DL?
No.
Going inside your.
He's got a great mix that came up from his daughter. Actually, tell the story. It's a great story.
I'd have all these Procure scents in the back of the boat, and my daughter, when she was 3 years old, we'd be trolling along and keep it fun. She'd go back there, and she thought she was so cool because I had a knife back there. And it was duller than heck, but she thought she was cool. 3 years old having this knife, and she's chopping up the tuna and putting scent in there, and I'm just like, oh my God, she's using like $10 worth of scent. The tuna is now floating in this stuff, but she's having fun, and we're out fishing, and it's all good. And after a few years, it just seemed like we were just always lucky when she was on the boat. Yeah. And what I found out is because she was putting a lot of scent, and that scent was leaching out. Since then, we kind of narrowed it down to three scents from Procure, along with chicken of the sea and tuna. And this is, it's a Springer blend, but this is more of a summer fall Chinook blend. And it's just anise, herring, and shrimp. And the thought process is, if the three of us all ordered the same meal, you're gonna eat all the vegetables, you're gonna eat all the bread, I'm gonna eat all the meat. And we think it's the same thing with these salmon. I mean, they smell, parts per billion, and it, that one salmon bit because it had that anise, or maybe one bit because the herring reminded him of his last meal.
Sure.
And for whatever it is, it works and works really good.
Goes back to what you were just saying.
Well,
the
yeah.
fishier, the better.
Yeah.
the scent trail going.
The wider that is, the more it involves. And you're right, Chris. It's going to trigger this fish for that scent. So it was. I think I read an article one time, like, a dog's sense of smell. And then, a deer is how many 100 times stronger than a dog. And then the way salmon and fish smell in the water is just a mind blow to think that they can decipher distinctly between different scents, right? We walk into a restaurant or a kitchen and somebody's cooking pizza, you go, oh, there's pizza.
Yep.
A dog walks into that restaurant or that room and it goes, oh, I smell oregano, I smell sauce, I smell garlic, I smell pepperoni.
Yeah, especially your dog. Yeah.
Wilson's a class act.
Wilson's cute.
There's a lot of truth to that, and scientists have proven that dogs can differentiate between the distinct ingredients on any particular item.
Yeah.
And salmon are very similar in that ability, in that they're going to seek out that scent that they react to. Now, if you're one-dimensional, it's just tuna, you're gonna attract a percentage of the fish.
Yep.
But if you broaden that out and there's multifacets in there, you're gonna collectively earn the attention of more fish. So it makes sense. Absolutely makes sense.
I don't know the science behind it, and as long as it gives me confidence, that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's the end of the day.
I know it works.
I agree.
Confidence.
And
Yep.
hey, I'm going to make it work.
I agree. All right, many more questions on here. I'm trying to keep up with as many as I can. We use Wiggler's awesome trolling for trout. Yeah, absolutely. What happened to the mini skinny? COVID was the demise of the mini skinny. So,
in short, not the demise. It's still going. It's just the demand for this is blowing up.
Yeah,
and can't even keep up with the demand for that. Let alone come out with a new bait right now. Although it's in the works.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Perfect. All right. Good kickstart here. Lots of folks signing in, chiming in. Lots of interest here. Good stuff, boys. We're going to jump out for a quick break. Going to jump into the bait lab. I'm going to walk you through kind of a progression of casting lures, spinners, plugs, what have you, and then troll fisheries, utilizing scent when appropriate. It's all about opening day trout season. 2 days away. Can't wait. And there's lots to discuss between now and then. So jump out for a couple minutes. Come back in. We'll be in the bait lab for another great segment. Get your notepad ready right here, Fish Out Northwest. Allied boats are built by West Coast fishermen for West Coast fishermen. Deep V 21-degree dead rise at the transom guarantees a smooth ride no matter the conditions. Allied offers all of our boats with Honda outboard packages so that you can take full advantage of the reliability and 5-year top-to-prop warranty from your Honda outboard. Allied boats range from 19 to 32 foot in length, so no matter what type of heavy gauge boat you are looking for, we have it for you. All of our Corsair 21-foot and larger designs come standard with reverse chine that is welded inside and out with no extrusions below the waterline, so that you will never have to worry about corrosion problems down the road. Get out on the water today in a boat that you can trust and enjoy with Allied Boats. Contact us at Allied Boats today to learn much more about our incredible fishing machine.
New days, new beginnings, new friends, new loves, new dreams, new goals, new scenery, new job. No matter what the next chapter holds, Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate will be there to help you find the new that's right for your lifestyle at any stage of your life. Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate. Expect better.
Hi, we're Joe and Megan Malico, owners of Archery World up here in Lacey.
We're a full pro shop, so we have a full pro service also. We have a huge indoor range. We carry 11 bow lines, all the major bow lines, and then there's subsidiary companies too. Like if we carry Bowtech, we carry Diamond. If we carry Matthews, we carry Mission.
When you come in, we're going to ask you, what kind of price point you're looking for. What's your hope? What's your goals? What's your goal? And with that information in mind, we'll point you in the direction of, that price point bows, and then maybe give you the option to test fire, maybe a higher level bow, just so you can compare. But it really is all about getting what it is that's going to work for you.
We don't upsell anyone. They shoot it, they like it, they don't like it, they don't get it. We don't operate like that. And so if you need it and it puts you in the outdoors, we probably have it. So come down and see us.
Hey, welcome back, Fish on Northwest. We're here in the Bait Lab for this week's installment in our how-to. Bait Lab presentation is brought to you by Sportco and, of course, Max Lure. Now, last week we talked all about the bait. The opening of trout season, as I have mentioned, is a couple days away. This week we're going to kind of delve into opportunity with artificials, casting spinners and plugs, troll fisheries, which so many of us love to do because you cover a lot of ground, you cover a lot of water, you encounter a lot of fish. It's a great way to find them. Casting and covering water with plugs or lures or what have you is also a great way to cover water and target fish. So some of the old standbys for me that work even off of my dock here in the backyard and any body of water I'll walk into, for years, even growing up, I always have in my arsenal these MEP spinners. You just can't go wrong by the red and brass combination out of these MEPs. Either size 1, 2, or 3, they all work, they all catch fish. Don't need to dress them up with anything else. It's that brass and red combination, I'm telling you, it is deadly. Sunny conditions, cloudy conditions, doesn't matter. Have some MEPs in your tackle box, you're going to catch trout. The Blue Fox, also in the size 2, commonly even up to a size 3, and you can switch it out to a single hook if you choose, although trebles are perfectly legal for trout. The vibration, the bell, the brass, the silver plated, the historical blue on silver works fantastic. Maybe on cloudy days, or if you're fishing extremely sunny days with gin clear water, dulling it down with a black blade and a dull green body, for whatever reason, trout really seem to respond to those color combinations. So sometimes, we like to look historically. A lot of folks will indicate, hey, if it's bright and sunny, use bright lures. If it's cloudy and a little overcast or low light conditions, use darker lures for silhouette. And fish can pick up on that. Yes, that is true, but sometimes it comes down to just trial and error. And there are many days where it is sunny and just gin clear in extremely clear water conditions. I'll run these brass blades or gold blades on these rooster tails. Rooster tail's been around forever by YBC. Who doesn't have a rooster tail in their arsenal when it comes to trout fishing? Silver blades, black body, black blade, black body. They all work. I really like the natural colors, some of the olive and green colors on the skirting and the brown and olive bodies, brass blades. All of that works in different sizes that you can get out of the rooster tails for castability. Really hard to beat the combination of the blade and body colors and the vibration that the rooster tails put out. Make sure you have some of those. One thing that makes casting and fishing spinners extremely easy. First of all, I have a rod that's, 8 foot. I like 7.5 is great. 8 foot rod if you can find a trout rod, 2 to 6 pound. I can cast things a mile with this. I put braided line on some of these, run it with a 30-foot top shot just for castability and durability. But one thing I will always do, because it does not affect the action on your spinner whatsoever, is make sure you tie a rolling swivel with a snap lock on there. It does a couple of things. One, I see a lot of folks tying directly to their spinner eyelet on the top of their spinner, and then they'll fish that for a while and they'll cut it off, tie another one on. First of all, it's time consuming. You're trying to go through your tackle box, figure out what spinner combination color the fish are attracted to on any given day based on water clarity or color, and of course full sun or cloudy days. And it's kind of a hassle to keep retying. So put a swivel on there, and it's going to make changing out your lure that much easier. I know it sounds simple, but you would be amazed how many people I'm standing there talking to, they have direct tide. The other thing it does, if you're using a spinning rod and you're using a spinner, well, the spinner is designed to spin. The reel is spinning the line. So if you don't have some type of swivel at the head of that thing, trust me, after a day of fishing, your line is going to be completely spun up, and you're going to wish that you had put a swivel on there, because changeability, the options to just change that out throughout the day, figure out which color combination they're targeting on any given day and find success, and the fact you're not spinning up your line works out really well. Let's talk a little bit about plugs. You'll see here I got a number of different sizes of plugs and colors. Over here on my far right, we got these K4s and 5s. They seem awful small, but when you're talking planter trout and even holdover trout, these little K plugs work fantastic. The old standby F series, a flatfish, you got a F4, F5. The color contrast of these blacks and yellows, red dots, don't know why, but for whatever reason, trout really respond to these types of colors. F6 over here, this frog pattern has been around forever. This is actually an old school plug that I've had since I think I was even a kid. Still works fantastic. That frog pattern, I think it's the color contrast and the spots really tend to draw trout in. An F6 is a great size plug, has a lot of action, catches fish all day long. Moving over here to the Yakima bait mag lips and the 2.0. The 2.0, 2.5s work really well. The skip beat action, the colors, they have so many colors, it's hard to decipher which ones to use. Yes, you can actually cast plugs. More so, these are for trolling, and I'll get into that here in a little bit. But for casting plugs, novel idea. First of all, they don't have a lot of weight to them, so they're not real easy to cast. But you can aid yourself in castability by adding weight to your presentation. Now, this again is just a simple 2 to 6 pound, 8-foot trout rod. This is that same sliding rig I showed last week with the 4-foot leader on there for floating bait off the bottom. We put a Dave's Tangle-Free weight on here or a small cannonball and let that sit on the bottom. We're fishing a floating bait up off the bottom. For this, I use the same exact sliding mechanism, 2 beads, one to protect my guide, one to protect my knot, and then I clip on a stick weight. I could use the Dave's Tangle-Free or what have you. I throw stick weights when I'm casting plugs. Then I'm going to run that to about a 3 to 4 foot leader, and here I got this black and silver flatfish on here. This is about a size 7. This thing works fantastic. And what's interesting is this is a slow sinking plug, okay? You throw some of your plugs out in the water and they will remain buoyant. Other plugs you set out in the water and they slowly just start to sink. It really doesn't matter when you're casting and retrieving. A little bit of weight out in front of that. With a spinning rod, you can actually throw it quite a distance, let it hit, slowly start retrieving. Remember, your spinning reels pick up quite a bit of line, so you don't have to crank them like you're bringing back a spinner or returning a bait. You just simply slow crank on that thing. Let that plug work, okay? The other thing you don't want to do is put a swivel on there. Now, I know when I said for spinners, we're putting a swivel on there. It doesn't disturb the action of the spinner. It doesn't hurt the action on the spinner. With a plug, because these are weighted to the size and spread of hooks that are engineered onto the plug, if you put a size 7 or 5, for God's sakes, a size 5 swivel, snap swivel on the front of this thing, it's going to offset the balance on that plug. And it's truly not going to function the way it's intended to. And at a certain speed, it'll want to flip over because it's too heavy in the front with simply putting that swivel on there. So when it comes to casting and retrieving plugs, and if you haven't done it, you need to try it either off docks or shorelines or even out of your boat, fishing structure. Casting and retrieving plugs, tie those direct to the eyelets that are provided. Your plugs are going to work a whole lot better, okay? So that's some options you have when it comes to casting and retrieving. You can also do that with these Rapalas or Rapalas, depending where you come from. All this other stuff on here that's on top of this table. A lot of this is similar, same with kokanee fish. And a lot of these are kokanee lures. We got the Brad mini cut plugs, kokanee cut plugs that we talked about earlier with the fellows. A lot of these kokanee gear or lures that I've tied have spinner blades, max smile blades. We're trolling this stuff. We're also trolling the humdinger and the, don't discount these little shad slammers by Max Lure. Simple little smile blade, wedding ring on there, a couple beads, and of course a single hook. You put a night crawler on there and start trolling this stuff behind a dodger. Works fantastic, okay? Small, compact, but it gets the job done. Some of these kokanee lures, the wedding rings, the spindrift smile blades by Max, all of this works. All these colors work, greens, pinks, reds. They all get it done simply by putting a night crawler on them behind a dodger. Let's talk dodgers for a little bit. We have the Max Double D, comes in a couple different sizes. You know, golds, I'm a fan of gold plated or indoor gold reflected, especially in full sun and clear water. The pinks get it done for trout all day long. Depending on how much action and how deep you want to go is the difference between which size of dodger you're going to pick. The other interesting thing on Max Double D Dodgers is you have the directions right on the top of this here in your 4 pull point positions. There's actually 5 with the center one. But as you move these to either side, it takes your dodger and turns it into not only a dodger action, but somewhat of a side planer, and it moves your presentation out from the side of the boat. So you can fish your front 2 rods at an inside setting. You can fish your back 2 rods at an outside setting. So you're staggering your presentation in your troll so they're not right on top of each other. That is one unique feature about the Double D Dodgers from Max. You also have your Sling Blade series, multitude of colors. We also have our Dick Knight small Dodgers that impart a lot of really good action. Doesn't have a tremendously large profile. Don't really need it. You know, you put these Dodgers in front of any of these small kokanee lures or trout lures, and it just flat out works. Now, one thing you want to do is add scent and bait and attractant. The Potskey's Fire Gel and all types of flavors and colors combinations. Tuna, krill. One of my favorite go-tos for both kokanee and trout is the crawfish. If you haven't tried any of the Potskey's Fire Gel crawfish, make sure you pick some of that up. And of course the garlic, I mean, when it comes to trout, you should be putting garlic on your plugs and or your dodgers and or your lures. Also, tip these single hook or double hooks with our Potskey's Fire Corn. Now, the fire corn works great right out of the jar, but you'll always see in my boat, I have certain words written on top of my jars. This one says crayfish because I've literally taken some of the Mike's crayfish oil and I put that into the jar and I sent this particular jar of red or pink corn up with a certain scent of oil. It doesn't get any easier than that. Taking Mike's oil, putting it in the Potskey corn, let it soak, keep it in a refrigerator. It'll last for well over a year. The corn is cooked. It is pretty much, you know, free of bacteria, and it doesn't mold. It lasts forever, and it works really good. It's durable, stays on the hook, puts out a tremendous amount of color with UV and the scent that you can't go wrong. And it's any color combination. This here is tuna garlic. Okay, this one here I got shrimp anise. So they all work. They all work for kokanee. They all work for trout. You can also take your dodgers, and I do this often, especially when I'm fishing kokanee. I take some of my fire gel, I put it right on the back of my dodger. Really put a big scent trail out there. And it's not always the same as in same scent here, same scent of corn. I'll put tuna fire gel on my dodger, and I might run the crawfish corn, scented corn on my lure, and it works. It all works. We're just trying to put out tremendous scent. We talked about it a little earlier here on the show with the boys from Brad's, and diversity in your scent profile to attract numerous fish versus just 1 or 2 keying in on one-dimensional type scent in the water. So a lot of these options are available. It's mixing and matching, deciding what it is you want to put out there and troll. Remember now, with trout, we can go a little faster than we typically do for kokanee. Trout, typically we can go upwards of 2 miles per hour, sometimes 2.5, depending on the wind push and everything else. You're still going to get them. You're still going to get trout at 1 mile per hour as well, 1.4, 1.5, but you can run some of this stuff up to 2, and as long as the gear is working, as long as the plugs are wiggling and not rotating and spinning, as long as your dodgers are, you know, putting a good cadence of action into the water, imparting action onto your lure and not rolling over, then your troll speed is fine. Often I get asked about fisheries, troll fisheries without downriggers. And is there a way to weight your presentation? Yes, absolutely there is. And one thing I've gone to years ago, so we'll just look at this rig right here. So I got a double D Dodger. I have a Max kokanee rig on here with a 2.0 smile blade. It's about a 18-inch, 20-inch, 18-inch leader. So it goes to that double D, it goes to my main line. Now up the main line, I have put a bobber stop and a bead, and I have this sliding rig with a snap swivel on there. I put another bead, and up the line a couple feet, I put another bobber stop. This allows this weight, or this little harness here, to slide back and forward. Now, I can simply take a Dave's Tangle Free, okay, and I can clip this on here like this. Now I've added weight to my presentation. Now you'll see that that is a couple feet away from my Dodger. I don't ever want to run my weight right down in front of my Dodger, okay? That makes no sense to me. That's gonna interfere in the ability of this Dodger to maximize its action and ability. So I take those bobber stops, I slide them a couple feet up the line, and actually the heavier the weight, the further up the line I'm going to put it away from my Dodger, so I make sure it imparts plenty of action. And I also put a bobber stop at the top just so it has a stopping point. That weight can only go up so far. And I like to leave those sliding to a certain point. It just seems to work better. It finds its balance point as it settles down the water there. And that weight will sink, and that Dodger, you know, they'll also drag your gear down 5 to 10 feet depending on the size of Dodger. So simply by adding weight out in front of your presentation a couple feet ahead. And people always ask about the depth of how much weight and how deep it's going to go, okay? It's simple. If you Google a chart on the old interweb there, something like troll depth and weight added to my presentation, how deep will it go? There are a number of charts out there. We've popped one up here for you tonight to take a look at. It basically breaks it down for you, adding 1, 2, 3 ounces, how many feet of line you put out 100 feet. That's going to give you an indicator of how much deeper that presentation is going to go on your troll. Most of those charts are figured at 1.5 miles per hour. Okay, so at a given speed of 1.5 and X amount of weight put on my presentation, and I put it out 100 feet, how much deeper will that presentation go in the water column? Those are interesting things to know, and instead of just shooting blind, you can take a look at that chart. We'll put it up on our Facebook page later. You can copy it or else Google it yourself. There's all kinds of different charts and whatnot out there. Most of them are similar, same, and very close in the numbers that they're going to put out there for you to figure out exactly how deep you're taking some of your presentations when you add weight to them, okay? And it's a good alternative. Instead of just always flatlining, you can add weight to your presentation. It's going to work. One other great technique, especially when it comes to trolling plugs, on how to get a little more depth if you don't have downriggers. So I'll switch up to like a light steelhead plug rod, okay? And I'm going to run on there a Lure Jensen jet diver. This is a jet 10, so it's going to take it down at least 10 to 12 feet. Okay, and I rig these also on a slider. It just, it keeps it separated out of the main pull point. And then behind that, in this case, 5 foot behind my jet diver, I've put on a size 2.0 mag lip, okay? These little mag lips for trout will get it done all day long. Now, so 5 feet behind that jet diver, 6 feet, whatever you want to run, like 4-pound test leader. And the reason I run that on a small dropper like that, 1, it has slidability, but 2, as a fish hits that plug, if it's tied directly behind that Lure Jensen diver, now I'm fighting the fish, but I'm also always fighting that diver, which is directly in line with the pull point of the fish on that plug to my rod tip. When I put it on a dropper like that, it at least gives it the ability to flex and move, and oftentimes that diver will get kind of off out of the way as that fish moves and pulls around. I don't have any points of where I'm pulling against the diver and I lose good solid connectivity with that fish. So by putting it on about a 6-inch dropper and a slider, I can always stay in contact with that fish from rod tip to fish on that plug, and that diver will somewhat disengage, so to speak, kind of like our breakaway flashers that we're going to get into here a little bit with the Brad's boys. But that's my rendition of how to make that not so direct connect and forcefully cause you to lose a fish if it gets in the way. So just a nice alternative. If folks are interested and don't quite understand the mechanics behind that, I can put that up on our Facebook page or our graph to let you know how easy that is to do. It's a great way to get the kids into fish on the Troll with very little gear and high success. Okay, that's going to do it for us here in the Bait Lab. We're going to jump out for a quick break. If you've got any questions about any of this, go ahead and hit us up on our Facebook page or YouTube channel. We'll be glad to answer anything that you may throw at us. Jump out for a couple minutes. We'll be back in studio to get back with the Brad's boys. We're going to talk 360 flashers and edge rods specifically designed to benefit you in your troll fisheries and deployment of 360s right here, Fish Hunt Northwest.
If you're looking for the best fishing rods in the world, you really do need to take a look at the edge rods. I designed and built new machinery, and I think this new machinery has enabled us to build blanks like no other company can build without this equipment. There is no other rods in the world that are as good as these rods. You owe it to yourself to take a good look at them.
A Northwest favorite for almost 40 years, Arima boats are manufactured with pride right here in Bremerton, Washington. Arima Boats offers all of our boats with Honda outboard packages so that you can take full advantage of the reliability and 5-year top-to-prop warranty from your Honda outboard. With literally thousands of Arima boats on the water throughout the Pacific Northwest, Arima boats are a proven hull design that offers incredible fuel economy and all of the amenities that a serious angler is looking for. All Arima boats are built without any structural wood materials. That is why we back our boats with a lifetime warranty. All of our Arima boats are designed to maximize deck space while also providing ample seating. Contact us today at Arima Boats for all your boating needs and let us help you get out on the water. All right, welcome back, Fish Hunt Northwest. Waiting on here in studio with Scott Kaul and Chris Turvey, Brad's team, and you guys are killing it. And I really want to kind of drill down on the development of this 360 flasher. I mean, let's face it, there's a number of 360 flashers on the market. There's a number of plugs. There's a number, I mean, there's, you know, I don't want to call it duplication by any means, but there's differences in all of them, right? But principle is somewhat the same. So you guys decided to come out with an additional 360 flasher and hit the market, albeit this is a 360 with a breakaway. I mean, this is how you buy this flasher. It's got a breakaway that comes with it. Chris, talk a little bit about how this came to be.
Well, as some of you guys know, I'm from Yakima, Washington, eastern Washington angler, and the whole 360 flasher and super bait hit the scene, and it was a downrigger show. It was all downriggers.
Right.
Guys would take turns on 2 downriggers, have 4, 5, 6 clients.
Yep, I remember that.
I didn't have downriggers, and a couple buddies of mine took me out and they showed me this technique. I'm like, man, that was pretty fun.
Yeah.
But I don't have downriggers, so
Right.
I wonder how I can do this. And I ended up getting a couple pro trolls, and I had a couple super baits is all. I didn't fish super baits a lot back then before 360s, and I pegged my bow rods with a pound of lead, 16 ounces on both rods, but I didn't put those first. They were just kind of just there. I was going to try it. I was put my best plugs, and I had some awesome herring from Astoria. I was a big-time herring fisherman back in the day, and those are the 4 rods I was concentrating on. But the 2 bow rods had pro trolls and super baits, and so the guys in the front were like, "Okay, well, how deep should I put these down?" And like, I blurted out a couple numbers. We didn't go 50 feet, and one of those rods goes off. We land the fish. High five, hooping and hollering, take some pictures, put the 4 back rods out. The guys are like, well, what do we do with these other rods? I go, well, put that one back out. Well, what about the one that caught a fish? Keep in mind, I've never caught one on a 360.
Right.
I'm like, well, if there's tuna in there, of course there's not tuna, we just caught a fish, but if there's tuna in there, just throw it back out there. There's no tuna. I go, well, then put some more tuna in there. So they put tuna in there, we go 50 feet, the other rod goes off.
Yeah.
So needless to say, everybody in the boat was like, looking in seat boxes, let's put some more of these out there. And I'm like, I didn't want them to know I was this rookie on this technique, and I only had 2 setups, 2 super baits and 2 pro trolls.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, hang on a minute here, guys. We're doing a test. We're just seeing how these 2 do with the rest of these, some good herring. And
was nobody else fishing 360s and
so now
super baits on lead at that point?
So where I was at, no. Talking to a few guys, there's a guide from Tri-Cities, Dan Sullivan.
Yeah.
Apparently that same
Dan.
year, he was doing it too. I didn't know that. But anyway, long story short, dang near limited the boat is all on those 2 rods. Nobody was looking at the back of the boat. They're watching the front of the boat, taking turns on these 2 rods. So my next group, I called those guys and I go, do not come down here unless you get this. And I text them some pictures and they're like, what the heck is that? I go, I don't care, but it's got to have this little thing in the middle, this fin.
Right.
I don't even care what color, but you need to bring some of those and some super baits. Find it. They went east to Tri-Cities, and I went west, and we ended up meeting together. And needless to say, the next day we had 8 of these rods going off in the boat, and it was just the rest is history.
Lights out.
And I was really fortunate that year because of a really good salmon return for fall chinook in the gorge, and I learned a lot real quick. I mean, we were having a lot of bites, 40, 60 bites a day, and we were losing a lot of fish. There were a lot of super jacks, 10 to 12 pounds. And I knew right away that there had to have been a better way. We tried short rods, we tried long rods, we went back to mono, we tried big trebles, we tried big singles, we tried everything. And the hook to land ratio just absolutely was horrible with this technique. And so over the winter, I thought, well, why couldn't we just clip on the back of a Pro Troll or come out with our own 360? And that's exactly what we did. And the very first fish we hooked on that, I was just kind of fist pumping. And when you're running a boat and you have a rod that's hooked up, you can tell if that fish is still on there from that angle. It's just, you can tell if it is.
Yeah. And
I'm fist pumping and everyone else is like, what? And I go, look at his rod. And they're like, what? But I could see that rod was really working towards the cork. It was flexing. Where before it was just kind of loaded up.
Yeah.
We got to the point where we just keep the boat going in gear and didn't know if it was there until it started splashing the back of the boat. And needless to say, we landed this fish, and the guy that caught that fish, he caught a bunch of fish with me the year before, and he's like, I can't believe that's not bigger. He's like, that thing fought so good. And it was only like a 10, 12-pound salmon, but it fought way better because he felt the fight.
Right.
And I was just ecstatic because I was like, okay. And so the rest is kind of history from there. Over the years, it's evolved into different shapes and profiles, different sizes, different bends. Scott actually came out with the beveled edge, and when we tested that definitely added performance at slower speeds.
The way it cuts through the water.
Yep, cuts through the water. And a lot of prototyping. I mean,
you came back to us with the concept, 4 years ago?
Yeah, it is longer than that. This breakaway system was before any breakaway was out there. 360s weren't popular. I seen the writing on the wall early on as we tried them at Buoy 10 and with super baits, and it absolutely worked.
Yeah.
And so I haven't bought herring in like 7 years.
Yeah.
And but it took some years to perfect the bungee. There's 18 inches of elasticity, It's super simple to use. The way you use this flasher is every flasher comes with a release system, a release clip, and a flasher blank. Now you can run it either way, but the important thing is you want the fin down, and you're going to feed the top side of the release clip through one of the 3 holes. And that's the cool thing about this flasher. Now you have options. You got 3 adjustments, a fast, medium, and slow. Where before, you're pulling from the front and you're reluctant on that tail fin to give it the 360, and you're stuck with a certain speed. Now you have options to troll slower. With that, you can also troll bigger baits.
So just by changing that pull point, that minor amount.
Yep. I'll show you why. So you thread it through there. Let's say that we want to go to the middle hole. The middle hole is about 1.5 is the most optimum troll speed. You'll take your bumper length or whatever you got on there, mainline if you're going to a downrigger, but you'll clip that on there, and then you're going to take the back side. There's just a little clip there, and you just snap it on the back of the flasher.
Right.
Now, I really want to point something out. It's super critical. We've had a lot of questions through social media. When you do that, see how that bead chain's flopping around? You want to pull the back side of the flasher so that your do-lock or snap swivel or whatever you're going to use is up against the plastic of the flasher. You'll get the most out of slow trolling. So now in that setting, the reason why it works so good is now you can see that it creates essentially a lead edge that is now catching the water. And that's why it trolls so much better at slower speeds. The farther down you go, the bigger the fin, the more weight it can buck on the back. And where a lot of flashers, you pull from the front and you're reluctant on that tail fin, and if you have too much drag, a helmet on a shrimp opens up and parachutes on you, too big of a spinner blade, it's going to kill the back of the flasher and it's not going to work.
Right.
Now we're finding we can run a lot bigger baits because of this front edge, and we're not reluctant on just the tail fin.
So you're increasing surface area off your pull point to the front edge of that, which grabs more water and creates more kick versus just relying on the fin on the backside.
Yep, exactly.
Gotcha.
Yep. So like I said, it's super simple. When a fish strikes, it detaches. There's 18 inches of elasticity. You are not reluctant on just the bungee to land the fish. There's a 130-pound cord that's inside there.
Right.
We got 6 American-made bead chains on both the front
sides,
and the back. To change speeds, just simply unhook the front, thread back through a hole, snap your bumper on there, pull it tight, pull the back of the release clip, and it's just snapping in. It's that simple. Now you're fishing. It's doing a 360. When a fish strikes, it detaches. Now you're breakaway.
Yep.
But with that elasticity, the first year I did that, you're not going to believe it. And keep in mind, this was a spring chinook spring chinook fishery where we can run barbs. And the reason why I say spring chinook is I think they bite better. They get the bait in their mouth, and I think your hook to land ratio is always going to be better. And then with the barbs, you're going to do better.
Right.
But the first year I did this, I was batting 100%, and it was like 3-4 days in a row, and it's like, wow, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
There's other boats that were out biting me, but I was out fishing them.
Yep.
I was making my bites count, 4 for 4,
Absolutely.
5 for 5.
Yep.
And next thing you know, we're getting to this thing like a week and a half, and I'm coming back to camp, and my buddies are like, well, how many did you lose? And I'm like, you're not going to believe this.
Didn't lose any. Right.
No, we had some drive-bys, but if there was a fish on that rod and the clients got their hands on that rod, that fish got in the boat.
Yeah.
And I had a blind client, Parkinson, MS, little kids, people have never caught a fish, let alone salmon.
All landed.
Landed it with success, and it was just,
it's a direct connect.
It just helped. It just helped when those fish are thrashing around. And
I've tried to get my buddies to understand that fish, other types of flashers, either Gibbs or whatever flashers are out there, right? And I have converted all my flashers to my homemade version of my quick release, right? Every one of them, doesn't matter manufacturer, whatever.
Your own release.
Yeah,
your own release.
Yeah, rigged them all, own release. And I'm on the same lines with you. I mean, hook up to land ratio season after season is in that 90 percentile. For a solid hooked fish that you have hand and rod and good bend and peel and line, that fish is coming in the boat because, as you just displayed there, Chris, once you disengage that flasher and it's a direct line of connect, the fish doesn't have the ability to swim at the flasher. Flasher catches current and then softly floats, floats that leader on a barbless hook, and it just comes lofting out of there.
Or goes upriver and you get the skateboard
Yeah,
effect.
or goes upriver. So all those disconnections in that direct pull point is why you lose them fish in any type of breakaway. And I'm intrigued by the versatility, the adjustment on your pull point in that how it creates a different speed of loop depending on your troll speed. I don't know if you broke it down or maybe I missed it, but if you're on the very first setting at the very tip of it compared to say the third.
So the very front one, that's going to be your fastest troll speed. That's going to be from like 1.8 to 2.5 mile an hour troll.
Okay.
This is going to be probably very similar to whatever flasher you're running right now.
Yeah.
The middle hole is now going to be slower. And so we've had discussions of how to explain this, and my mind works different than his. And in my mind, the middle hole is slower, means you're going to troll slower. But if you troll at the same speed as you would with the top one, your rod's going to thump faster. So it's not to confuse it. Now the bottom hole is going to thump even slower yet. So you're trolling like 1 mile an hour, and this thing's going to thump.
Right.
We've done a lot of tests on anchor. And very little current, and that thing is able to thump while you're sitting there on anchor. But like I said, the biggest thing is now you can mix and match. What I've found, when we were talking about super baits earlier, there's not one size that fits all. It's a big one or a little one. 3.5 spinner, 3.0 spinner, smiley blade, big coon shrimp, little coon shrimp. There's so much stuff we're putting on behind these flashers. When you're pulling from the front, one of those rods is not going to be working as good as the other one. And now you have options. And so you got a little bait on this side that is zero resistance on the back of the flasher, and that thing is thumping at its absolute best capacity. And then you have a big lure behind this flasher on this side, and you're trolling. One or the other is not going to be working properly. And so now on that one that's not thumping quite right because it's got such a big lure, now you can adjust it and go down to the middle hole, and all of a sudden give it more thump.
Right.
And it's a game changer. It's it's a flasher that I've exclusively ran for years. It's just the more you fish it, the more you love it.
How many color patterns or options do you have? Do you have glow and UV on any of them, or is it all silver scale? Or
we do. We have glow. We have 9 color patterns that we're coming out with.
Yeah. Puget Sound is like, if you want a good flasher, it's got to have glow on one side, UV on the other, right? Yep. So that's a Puget Sound flasher. But Columbia River, everybody's going to full chrome scale, right?
That's the most popular.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. A couple folks are asking, they're not finding it on the website. Is this not on the website?
So we don't sell these. We don't sell direct.
Oh.
Yeah, we sell through Sportco.
Gotcha. Yep. That's why they're not on the website.
Fishermen's are good retailers.
Yeah. Okay.
So they're not. We will not sell them direct. We're selling through
through distributors or through sporting goods stores. Okay, so there you go. Find them at local retailer outlets, Bob's Sportco, as you said, and great. So
is John Kaiser on there?
Yeah, he's been on here multiple times.
Yeah, John, what color did you catch yours on today? Because I know John got a Springer on one of these today.
Did he really? Okay.
Interested to see what color it was on.
Yeah. Perfect. Somebody else lost their bungee. Any options to get replacement bungees on these, or?
It'd be nice to know what happened. Was that all the info that they gave?
Lost my bungee on a 360 Evolution flasher. Can I get another one, please? Can they email you on the webpage?
We will have packs of bungees that are available coming in a 2-pack.
Okay.
Yep.
2-pack
replacement makes sense
as well.
Okay. Real good. Great options. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to jump out for a quick break. When we come back, I want to drill down on the rod specifically designed through Edge. And Chris, a lot of your input with the boys at Edge to create a rod that maximizes your ability to fish a 360 flasher. If you think that just throwing this on any rod will get it done, well, it will, but there's something to the mechanics of how this rotates in the water. It's not a full-on circle, it's more of an oblong. And when you design a rod that loads and works in unison with this type of flasher, it's more bang for the buck. But I'm going to let Chris get into all that because he was part of the design on this thing. So really, really good information coming on why you can accentuate your opportunities and your hookup options if you have the right rod running with a 360 flasher. Don't go anywhere. More with Scott and Chris with Brad's. We come back after this break right here at Fish on Northwest. Defiance boats are built without any structural wood materials. That is why we back our boats with a lifetime warranty. All of our Defiance boats come standard with large fish boxes that are fully insulated so that you can ice your fish properly all day. Defiance boats feature a 21 to 22 degree dead rise at the transom and a large reverse chine for incredible handling and stability offshore. Defiance boats are foam flotation filled and unsinkable for the ultimate in safety while fishing offshore. Defiance boats feature fuel-efficient hull designs with large fuel tank capacity so that you can have maximum fuel range for making long offshore runs completely safe and affordable. All Defiance boats come standard with self-bailing decks for improved safety while at sea. Defiance Boat offers all our boats with Honda outboard packages so that you can take full advantage of the reliability and 5-year top-to-prop warranty from your Honda outboard. Defiance boats for all your boating needs, and let us help you get out on the water.
Today, the need for quality private security services is at an all-time high. Contract Security Service provides day-to-day peace of mind as they protect people and property. Here at Phoenix, we provide service for multiple state and federal contracts with services ranging from uniform, patrol, alarm monitoring, canine detection, executive protection, as well as investigative work. Phoenix client management models are built on understanding our clients' security needs and responding with a tailored program that is best fit for them. Phoenix provides excellent customer service through well-trained, highly motivated security professionals. Recruiting highly qualified officers is the first step in building a strong team. Currently, we are comprised of 70% prior law enforcement and military veterans. If you are prior military or law enforcement, go to www.phoenixprotectivecorps.com and apply today.
Yep, for sure. Oh yeah, big fish. Yeah, buddy. Nice fish. Oh, beauty. Gorgeous fish.
Bobby's on the board.
We got a good one.
Oh yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, geez, come on.
Nice fish. Nice fish.
Yep, welcome back, Fish Out Northwest. Wayne Lynn here with Scott and Chris with Brad's. If you're just joining us, we've covered a lot of info, so you're going to need to go back and start at the beginning or you're missing out on all this good content. So, yeah, other variations and things hopefully in the future. I mean, sockeye.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
so,
and that's what we were talking at the show or at the break. We've actually gone out and targeted, landlocked silvers and trout with these. And those fish didn't know what to do. They ain't never seen anything like this. And you would never attempt to go after, a 15, 16-inch fish with a, 11-inch flasher. These are 10-inch. But because it's breakaway, you could put that on a light rod and 3-4 ounces of lead and just have a heyday with it. But,
and even small trout will break that off.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, it doesn't
it doesn't take much to pull it. Yeah, that's
the
nice thing about it. It releases relatively easily. Number of folks on here asking about opportunity to purchase on the east side of the state.
Yeah, so we sell, the demand was so high, it was probably 5, 6, 7 times what we'd expected that we sold through.
It's a good problem to have,
distributors to begin with. So the distributors have gotten shipments, they're getting them out to the stores where they can. We've got a new shipment that we just got in that we'll be sending out as well.
Okay.
So yeah, they'll be coming out statewide, actually, across several states.
Do you know, so down Oregon too, Idaho, or?
California.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, real good. Do you know which stores on the east side perhaps will carry them? Any idea?
They have options. There's some distributors that they're all linked up with.
Gotcha.
And all the distributors have them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So before the break, kind of mentioned. Did you have something else?
There's a couple things I want to point out.
Okay. Before we jump to rods,
brought up a great point with these. Why don't you go ahead and show them?
Just the stackability. So you've got the way we designed this. You can stack them like this. So you can take a dozen of these and hold them in your hand.
Yeah.
At one time.
Actually,
this
thing is just
There you go. Look at that.
There's like almost 40 flashers in that.
Right.
What's that box worth right there? Start taking bids on that.
Yeah. Well, because in all your other manufacturers, you got the fin central point at the back, right?
Yeah.
So,
Takes up
even
a lot
in
of
my
space.
tackle rolls, it's like you only put a couple in the sleeve, and then you roll that all together. It's like, man, the thing's this wide because those fins are in the way,
And the other thing I want to point out, you want to take care of your bungee. You never want to leave them loaded. Make sure they're off there, and keep the bungee dry. And out of direct sunlight, long period of time.
When you're not using it. Yeah.
And out of the cold.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
So.
Specific to edge rod. So there's a rod designed to fish this 360 flasher. Now, talk about if I want to take my 1064 and put 16 ounces lead on there and fish at this 360, and the action's going to be suitable. I'm probably going to catch fish, right? So talk about the action that rod will help impart or not on that flasher in comparison to a rod that's specifically designed.
So Edge rods by Gary Loomis, they make some amazing rods. They make hundreds of different blanks.
Right.
North Fork Composites is a sister company to Edge, and Edge does the finishing. And, they made great rods, which is just like anybody else's rods on the market for 360. But they wanted something better. They wanted something that would react different and work with the flasher. And what we started finding, there's some things that a rod can do to your 360 to make it more fishier and give it more snap, give it more pop. One of the most common mistakes with 360s is guys throw it out there and the rod's thumping like, yep, I'm fishing. And not all 360s are created equal. And I highly suggest that when you're 360 fishing, you keep track of which ones are catching fish and which ones aren't. Because it's not always visible to the rod, telegraphed to the rod. There's some that are just fishier than the others. And during testing and prototyping during all the years of these flashers, we found that every 360 will do 360 motion, but the fishier ones would actually do not a full circle, but like an oblong, and they would have a pause at the top.
Right.
And but it was doing a circle. And the non-fishers, which you couldn't tell really by telegraph to the rod, was the nose of the flasher was kind of staying still. They still got bit, but they didn't get bit as good as the ones that would pop and snap. And so we started realizing that in combinations with different bumper lengths and leads and materials and actions on the rods would help that snap and that pop and let that flasher pause. Interesting, I had a seminar last night, which I completely bombed, by the way. I'm sorry you guys had to listen to me, but I did it with Pro, a VIP.
Right.
And me and him were talking about that pop.
Yeah.
That sexy, just 1001, 1002, instead of just going. And he's a firm believer, and he was telling me this. I'm like, man, I thought the same thing. But, he thinks with his spinners, he's getting bit during the flutter. So that blade of that spinner, instead of just doing this, now that blade is stopped, and it might even swap direction. And that's what he thinks is getting bit. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, I've been thinking that too, because it's the same thing with the kokanee cup plugs.
Remember we noticed that?
Yeah.
On the kokanee cup plug.
So here's a trivia question for you. This is crazy. What direction does an original skinny spin underwater? It'll blow your mind.
Is it counterclockwise?
Both.
Goes both ways?
Yeah. When rigged right with the 360, it's going one way, gets to the top, and then it'll go the other way.
Goes the other.
No kidding.
Yeah. Maybe not every time, but
we figured that out.
When we were testing these,
we're testing these.
Unbelievable.
Behind a 360.
Yep. Now that's with the rod and a flasher that's got the pop and the snap that we're talking about.
So as far as the rod design, is it because the rod's ability to load, and when that flasher rolls over and release, it snaps back, it recoils?
It's the proprietary material that Edge has in the tip section, and the special blend in the butt section. So this rod has the ability to load up and then recover fast, snap it back.
Right.
This material also is super strong. All my years of guiding, some manufacturers I'd break 20 rods a year. Some really, really good ones I'd break 3 or 4 rods a year. I have yet to break one of these. And that's high sticking, wrapped around the side of the boat.
Don't know how to fish.
It's a super strong material that it's crazy.
Right. You just cringe when you look at
they
that.
can break.
I've seen it this way and then see it sideways. It's like, it's going to explode.
So Edge came out with these. One of the biggest things with 360s is now guys are putting power handles. There's a lot of big fishing heavy leads. Buoy 10, there's 16, 20 ounce lead. There's a lot of torque.
Sometimes
65-pound braid. I mean, it's just getting a workout. The rods are getting stretched. They're getting loaded up. You're getting snagged up doing 5 miles an hour. Getting a fish hitting at going the opposite direction at 3-4 miles an hour. So they needed a rod that was bulletproof, but yet finesse. And that's what they did. It was a home run. There's there's 7 different models right now, and they talked about doing more, but they're probably not. They don't need to. They got all the bases covered. There's just so you guys know, with Edge, they made it real simple to read the rod. So they rattle off a number. What do those numbers mean? Remember this: the dash. If it has a -2, that means it's 2-piece. The last number is the power. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 power. And I think there's even some 7, 8 in the saltwaters. But the last number is the power. The first 3 or 2 numbers are going to be the length. So Edge makes a 924-2. So the 924, that's 9'2", 4 power, 2-piece. There's a 924, 925, and a 926. Then they make a 1065, 1064, 1066. So the 4 power is going to be a little bit softer. The 5 power is going to be probably your all-around best rod. Buoy 10, still finesse enough for the
most versatile rod.
Most versatile. Your 6s, you're going to want to use those when your bow rods and you want more spread. And then they make a 1265, which is the 12.5 footer. And I think they make a 1266, I'm not sure. But anyway, those 12 footers are more for your bow rods. But with that, one of the biggest problems is, all rods are putting ceramic guides in there. And this is a trolling rod. This is not a casting rod. So you don't need ceramic guidelets. They went to a ceramic-less titanium guide that now lightens up the rod, but it does another thing. There's nothing worse than having a ceramic break on your, $300-400 rod. And now they limited that problem. From there, they beefed up the reel seat. It's aluminum reel seat with double lock and jam nut to handle all that torque from the 360s and the people that are winching their gear in the rod holder, and then extended foregrip, because this thing's going to spend pretty much all of its life in a rod holder. And there's nowhere to grab with all the different rod holder configurations. So you got that. It also has a line keeper on the back there. And then from there, it's a precision workhorse. We actually weighed these rods when they were done, and we're like, man, this thing's going to be a log. And we were really, really surprised. All of the featherweight, light, high-tech Edge rods that they make in these same sizes and powers, these were only very little heavier. I mean, you enough to where you couldn't tell. So you have a bulletproof precision workhorse that is built for 360s, that's going to help with the snap, that's going to catch you more fish. They retail for about $325. Right now, they got 20% off if you go through the Fish Hunt Northwest. And the other thing too is there's less models, so they're doing everything they can to keep up with production. But this has been the other cool thing about this rod. Edge sells a lot of bass rods. I think really they cater to us because they love us. They don't have to.
No,
they sell way more rods.
This is where they're located. So
exactly. They pacify us. They just do it because they love us. The bass market is so huge and they're so big in that game.
Thank you, Alex and Gary.
Thank you very much, Alex and Gary.
Thanks for paying attention to our little hobby.
But the 1065 actually became the number 2 selling rod in their company last year. They sold that many. And I don't know the breakages. I heard it's less than 10. So that's pretty impressive to sell that many rods and only have 10 break.
For a brand new model.
For a brand new model.
So they're asking, maybe repeated here, Chris, what model in power for 360 fishing? Just to run through that again.
Most versatile is going to be your 1065. That's your 5 power. That's the middle of the road. And then if you want a shorter rod, a 9'2", and I want to hit on that real quick. But a 9'2", 925. That's going to be your middle rod there. So one thing I've noticed, I've always been a 10.5 foot rod guy. I want I designed my rods to where the back of the boat are one size, a lighter power than the front half. That way, if a rod breaks, I can just grab another one out of the rod locker. I'm not stuck having just these two are the bow rods, these two are the mid rods, these two are the corner rods, and these two are the back rods. And I've done really well with that. And I've always been a 10.5 foot fan. But when I started running these 9.2s, I tell you what, there's something to that out the back of the boat.
Yeah.
And the 9'2" will put out a different pop, a different action. And it's not in every fishery, but there's a lot of finesse fisheries that I partake in where the 9'2", the 9'2", 4 power and 5 power are outfishing the 10.5s. But then there's other fisheries where that 10.5 will outfish the 9'2s. But it's got to be something with the length that's got more pop. The 10.5 is longer, so it doesn't have the pop where a short rod is already there.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It makes sense.
So
it's fun being in his boat and watching him. You know, he's on the trolling mower and the rod's behind him.
Yeah.
Well,
the 360 rod evolution makes sense because, I mean, you go down to Buoy 10 now, Buoy 10 or any parts all the way up through and above Bonneville and all these fisheries, there's so many persons fishing 360 flashers. I mean, the inline rotator still has its place, and bait still has its place, and I still run, you know, some of those bait rods, but fully converted last year to 360s and some of pro spinners, and it was just unbelievable. It opens your eyes, right?
Yeah. And, I mean, it's a 360 in, you know, every salmon season there is, from the ocean all the way up to, you know, Chief Joseph.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Been using 360s in Puget Sound forever.
Yeah, that's where it all started.
Right,
Downriggers.
Yep. So
us river guys. So.
Yep, exactly. So, well, really good stuff. I'm excited to get a couple of those 360 rods in my hand and throw some of these 360s out the back of the boat and do the deal. And you know, even I want to get going on some of these and some of the super baits out there in Puget Sound. I have fished them in Puget Sound, the minis for resident coho and the cup plugs for, you know, salmon, and we've caught fish on them. I mean, it flat out works, right? And time and a place. If you're out there summertime going for kings and rolling those down just up off the dirt too much, you're going to get a lot of dogfish. So you're going to go through a lot of them leaders, right? Yeah. But definitely, you know, I mean, nice alternative for blackmouth too. Yeah. Then you don't have to worry about the dogfish. So really good stuff, gentlemen. I'm glad you were able to take time and come on up here. Chris, before we go, talk a little bit about your Columbia River Guide Service that also keeps you busy. You do put in quite a bit of time on the water.
Yeah. So as you guys know, I'm a full-time sales rep for Brad's. I'm an in-house rep, and so we do, you know, whatever needs to be done, we do it. Me and Scott, you know, we work. Sometimes we're there. I mean, we've been there.
Wear a bunch of hats.
Yeah. You know, whatever needs to be done, we do it. You know, it's all about serving the customers, you know, and the buyers and all those guys, and get shipments in and get them out. But when I'm not doing that and I don't have my daughter, I have a 10-year-old, well, turning 10, 10-year-old daughter. I'm guiding Columbia River Guide Service. I took my website down just because I just wanted to kind of cater towards more of my you know, returning clients. But you can get a hold of me at 509-571-6198. My spring Chinook's pretty much booked, but there's going to be some summer Chinook fisheries that I partake in the upper reaches and in the gorge. And then fall Chinook, there's a lot of opportunity for fall Chinook, and then leading right into, you know, fall coho, which is just a blast. Yeah. There's you know, multiple different techniques we're doing now for that. You know, jigging, we're wigglers and 360s and shrimp spinners and 360s and kokanee cup plugs.
Yeah. All on the same day.
All on the same day.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a blast.
Yeah.
You know?
Smorgasbord. Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
So. Yep. But, looking forward to a fantastic season. Well, great. Hopefully folks will continue to ring your phone and keep you plenty booked, right? Sounds like you're plenty busy regardless. And,
very busy.
You know, Scott, you got to find to get enough time on the water. Busy. Oh, yeah. Good. Yeah. B-Max on here, you said you talked me into it. I'm buying one. So you're a hell of a salesman, too,
They're
Chris.
great rods. I tell you what, they are great rods.
Yeah, well done. So, all right. Really appreciate you guys joining me here tonight. It's been a blast. Absolutely, man. Come back anytime and need to jump in a boat and get out fishing. It sounds like maybe May 10th.
May 10th. Yeah, we need to talk about that before
we get out of here. Okay.
We're going to be on your dock Saturday morning.
Oh, well, you got that option too. You guys should drive back up here, grab the breakfast over there at the community center, and come out here and do a little bit of fishing. A couple folks have asked, hey, is the lake very crowded on opening day? Well, I don't know, our lake's crowded opening day. I mean, again, the weather's going to be pretty doggone nice. Yeah. We're finally getting out of some of this nasty weather. We're going to be lower to mid 60s. You know what? If you got kids that are chomping at the bit to get out fishing, man, you need to take advantage of this weekend because, you know, I'm watching the truck pull in here almost every other day and dump fish. And
you can see them rolling out there.
Oh, yeah. It's going to start getting active here right out in front of the dock. And I get a lot of people fishing around in front of the dock because they dump them right here at the ramp and they don't go very far because they just got out of their concrete pen. Yeah, right. And they're like, are we supposed to be, you know, or what are we? So, yeah, it's opening day out here is a lot of fun. People are great. And I usually just sit out there on the dock and watch people, and we get a line of folks over here at the boat ramp, and they line up on the grassy knoll and sit there and watch them catch fish, and you know, sit there and sip a beer and enjoy the day. So, yeah, things to look forward to. Appreciate you guys coming in tonight. Great information, good content, and I get to go away with a few new implements in my arsenal here. Pretty excited about that.
Enjoy them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, it's going to do it for us here this week. Next week, special guest coming in to join me. Yes, Tommy will still be gone, fortunately, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm going to let you know later on in the week. Follow us on social media. Let you know who my special guest is. And we're going to start talking some tributary springers because that is definitely on the agenda coming up here. We got some local streams a little south of here that those springers are starting to creep on into in these tribs, and it's time to go drown some eggs under floats. I'm going to show you exactly how to get that done with some more bait lab presentations coming up in the next few weeks. So appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Got any questions throughout the week, hit us up on our social media. Go to our pages and follow and subscribe. Get over to our YouTube channel, give us a subscribe there and track everything we got going on. I want to thank these gentlemen again for coming in. You got any questions, hit them up over at their webpage at Brad's. I'm pretty sure they'll take the time to answer your questions. Have a great week.
Instagram, you bet.
Yeah, there you go. Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff, right? Yep. Okay, perfect. Get out this weekend. Enjoy that opening day. It's going to be a good one. We'll see you next week right here, Fish on Northwest.